There's a number following you around right now. It doesn't know your income. It doesn't know your savings. It really doesn't know if you're a deeply responsible person or, a reckless one. Yet it just sits there in the dark, acting as a gatekeeper. It dictates whether you can rent that apartment, what interest rate they'll slap on your car, whether you get a loan to start a business, and sometimes whether you even get hired for a job. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking a look at the architecture of the credit score playbook. 720. Now, most people treat this surveillance readout like a permanent moral grade, like it's proof of their financial character. But I want you to sit with a heavy, systemic truth for a second. This number, it has absolutely no legal mandate, zero government oversight, there is no viable appeals process you can actually win, and the single fastest way to raise this completely arbitrary number is to go into debt. Section 1. The private data machine. Exposing the origin. Okay, we need to take a step back and deconstruct this system. It's so easy to just accept the world as it's handed to us, but the smart move, the crow's move, is to strip away the corporate vocabulary and expose the underlying mechanics. Look, people treat this score like it measures their discipline. It doesn't. It merely reflects your usefulness to lenders. To really grasp what this number is, you have to realize it hasn't always been here. Back in 1956, two guys, Bill Fair and Earl Isaac, founded FICO to standardize these chaotic and honestly often discriminatory lending decisions. But the real shift, that happened in 1989. That's when FICO partnered with the three major credit bureaus to build the modern system you're trapped in today. It was invented by a private company, not the government, a private corporation. Think about it. Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, they aren't public services. They are private data brokers. They sweep up your financial history, lenders then pay them for risk models. You apply for credit, and they extract profit. Every single time a bank checks your score, someone gets paid. You really need to understand the fundamental reality here. The credit score isn't a tool built for you, it's a business model, and the ultimate product being bought and sold is you. Section 2. Anatomy of the algorithm. What the math actually measures. We're going to calmly reverse engineer this FICO algorithm, because once you strip away the illusion that this is about your personal financial health, you clearly see that it's just a surgical measurement of your profitability to the lending industry. The trap lies right in the breakdown. FICO is chopped up into 5 specific categories. Now, 35% is payment history. Basically, did you pay your debts on time? Okay, that one makes logical sense. It's the hook that makes the whole system look legitimate. But as we dissect the rest of this equation, you're going to see a carefully constructed maze designed to keep you locked inside. Take the 30% dedicated to amounts owed. In systemic terms, this translates to your credit utilization ratio, the percentage of your available credit that you're actively using. And here's the paradox. If you max out your card, but pay it off every month, your utilization looks high to the machine, and your score drops. But if you use absolutely zero credit, like if you avoid debt entirely, your score also stagnates or drops. The algorithm literally penalizes you for not participating. It specifically rewards a sweet spot of using between 1 and 10% of your available credit. You have to play, but exactly how they want you to. Now consider the math behind the length of credit category. Imagine on one side you have a 22-year-old with perfect income, pure savings, and zero debt. On the other side, a 40-year-old carrying continuous debt on a card they've had since 2005. The 40-year-old is going to have a drastically higher score. Why? Because length of credit is simply a time-alive penalty. It doesn't matter how disciplined you are in your 20s, you literally cannot earn your way out of this metric. You just have to wait. And then there's the 10% reserve for your credit mix. You are mathematically rewarded for juggling multiple debt products at the exact same time. A credit card, a car loan, a mortgage. Demonstrating a diversity of debt doesn't signal wealth. It doesn't mean you're financially free. It just signals to the algorithm that you are a highly profitable, highly reliable, multi-product consumer for the lending engine. Section 3, the infinite debt loop, the systemic equation. All right, it's time to step back and view the full picture of the architecture we're dealing with. The corporate machine has built a systemic equation that effectively locks the consumer into an endless cycle of managed borrowing. To secure that coveted high score, you're required to have old accounts, multiple debt types, consistent monthly utilization, and a flawless, indefinite payment history. Now, with surgical precision, look at exactly what is missing from this list. Savings, income, net worth, actual owned assets. A person sitting on $200,000 in savings with no credit history scores lower than someone juggling 5 credit cards and a car loan. The system values debt management over absolute wealth. Which brings us to a really critical question. What happens when you actually win? Like when you pay everything off, close your accounts, and go completely debt-free? Well, your score collapses. People who follow strict step-free programs watch their hard-earned 800s plummet into the 500s. And it's not because they failed. It's because they triggered the ultimate penalty loop. They stopped being a profitable, predictable asset to the lenders. Section 4. The psychology of the score. Why smart people play along. So, you might be asking yourself, if the game is this blatantly rigged, why do highly intelligent, highly self-aware people stress over this number? Well, it comes down to psychological grip and systemic gatekeeping. Systems that make you feel judged rather than tracked are much harder to opt out of. When a landlord, an employer, or an insurance company uses this score to evaluate you, a 580 intentionally feels like a verdict of personal failure. It's designed to feel like a character flaw, rather than what it actually is, a cold, mathematical readout of your corporate utility. That emotional gravity, that is the lock on the cage. Section 5. The Crow's Tactical Playbook. Calculated execution. We're done with cynical deconstruction. Now it's time for strategic optimism. Yes, the FICO algorithm is a rigged game, but its rules are completely public. It's a machine left out in the open. And anything with public rules can be systematically exploited. I'm going to hand you the blueprints over the fence right now. Here are the 5 exact moves you need to navigate this system without ever getting played. 1. Treat a credit card exactly like a debit card, paying the full statement balance on autopay to guarantee 0 interest. 2. Keep reported utilization under 10%. 3. Never close your oldest accounts, just let them age for free. 4. Strategically space out hard inquiries so you never look desperate for capital. And 5. Cross the threshold to extract value via premium rewards. Let's break down the actual mechanics of this. This right here is the surgical utilization hack. The balance that actually gets reported to the bureaus is your statement balance, not your day of payment balance. If you want to control the optics of the algorithm, you pay down your balance before the statement closing date. You dictate what the machine sees. You keep it precisely between 1 and 10%. Now for the advanced navigation. This is the job as venture capital mindset applied directly to your credits. First, you protect that very first card forever, leaving it open to anchor your account age. Then, you calculate your moves, intentionally absorbing the tiny 5 to 10 point hit from a hard inquiry because you know it's going to recover. Why? To unlock those 720+ tier offers. This is the exact moment you stop being the product and start extracting the margin. You take the 2% cash back, you take the travel credits, and you quietly reinvest that corporate margin into building real assets that you actually own. Clarity is yours. Look, the banking machine built a system that profits from your confusion and your emotional attachment to a 3-digit number. But mastering these rules allows you to outsmart the cage. The crow doesn't rage against the bars, it steps back, learns how the lock works, uses the perch, and flies. The game is fully exposed now, so the question is, what untracked, unmeasured wealth will you build now that you hold the keys? Think about it. Thanks for joining me on